In this situation, if you have a paddle boat or a paddle wheel on a river boat that has a diameter of 24 feet, draw a picture. 24 feet, it's a circle. A paddle wheel on a river boat is a circle, if you ever picture one. Find the arc length of the circle made when the paddle wheel rotates 300 degrees. Okay? What I mean by that is find the distance on the circle when the paddle wheel rotates 300 degrees, or what is this black, you know what, I'll put it in a different color. Purple. You can't see that. What is that distance? Okay, the arc length. We use the central angle, which is this big one. This is 300 degrees. Okay, and we multiply that by the radius of the circle. So to use the arc length formula, the radius of the circle, what is the radius of the circle?
12.
It's 12, right? It's 12, not 24. And you multiply that by the angle, the central angle in radians. We need to turn it, we need a radian, right? 300, we need to make it radians. So we need to make this into radians. Turn that into radians. We want to turn it into radians, so radians typically have a pi in the answer. So we're going to multiply it by the formula that's pi over 180. And that'll get us a pi in our answer. So what do you end up getting for that? How many radians? 5 pi over 3 radians. So then we put that in. Okay? Multiply that stuff out. Let's get an exact answer first. 20 pi. And our answer is actually in feet. It doesn't ask us anything, so we can just leave it in feet. That is in feet. So it's 20 pi feet. That's the exact value. But this one's an application, so exact values, we don't really have to keep it. We can give it as a decimal, so it makes a little bit more sense. So 20 pi, 62.83 feet. Okay, yeah.
How do you know when to put the pi on top over 180?
If you're going from degrees to radians, typically our answer in radians will have a pi in it. Typically, not always, typically. So we want to make sure to multiply pi into that problem. Okay, so put it on the top of the formula. If you want to go from radians to degrees, typically degrees does not have a pi, so divide out the pi, 180 over pi. Good question. All right, go ahead and read number 2 and get started. Give it a go and see where you're at. Monster truck has a radius of 33 inches. How far does a monster truck travel in feet? Guys, notice in feet. I underlined the wrong thing. So in the end, we need it in feet. You can do your calculations in inches with 33, but eventually you need to turn it in feet. Okay? 3/4 of a rotation around the circle. So 3/4 around a circle. So rotate 3/4 would be there. What's that central angle? Do you guys remember that in radians? It's 3 pi over 2. If you're starting to memorize the unit circle, which you should, okay, you need to know that that's 3 pi over 2. Or you need to be able to figure that out in radians. 3/4 of the way through the circle. So, so our calculations, S equals the radius, 33, that's the radius. 3 pi over 2, which is going to be 99 pi over 2 inches. We're still in inches, right? That, as a decimal, is going to be 155.51 inches, but we also need to turn that into feet, so we need to divide by 12. .96 12.96 feet. Cool. Okay, go ahead and read the next question. It's kind of a little bit different. You actually don't need the formula. We're not talking about the distance traveled by the tip of the thing. So go ahead and give it a go. Read it. It's a little bit different representation. The wording on this problem talks about pass through 2.5 pi radians. That's the amount of rotation, right? If that's an angle measure, that's the same as rotation. So like if you have a clock, and let's say it's like 10:15, conveniently the minute hand is in standard position, okay, if we're talking about angles, and we want to circle at 2.5 radians, or 2.5 pi radians, so this is going to rotate 2.5 pi radians, right? Which is is that more or less than one time around the circle? More. It's more or less than two times around the circle. What? Less. One of the ways you can think about this is going to be 5 pi over 2. Is it less? 2.5 is 5 over 2, right? 2 pi is 4 over 2. So it's a little bit more than 1, isn't it? A little bit more than 1 rotation? Because that's a little bit more than 1. It's actually 1, you know what I mean? 1 pi. So if we go 1 rotation, right, that would be 2 pi. Okay? How much more do we need? How much more than 2 pi is 5 pi over 2? 1/2 more, right? Just like 2.5, right? So we need to go another 1/2 pi as far as our rotation. Does that make sense? 1/2 pi as far as rotation. So our new minute hand goes down here, right? So it went 1 circle and then another quarter circle, which as far as time goes, 1 hour and a quarter of the way through, 15 minutes. It's a quarter. So it's 1 minute, 15, or 1 hour, 15 minutes.